Okay, finally, welcome back to another episode of Divine Ethereal Beings. Today, we are going to explore the topic a little bit more because seems to be rather relevant for a lot of people actually right now. How pain or aches and pains and stuff that's showing up in the body is actually correlated to emotions or energy that has been stored that either is from old patterns and beliefs or it's something that has been stored in the body and maybe it's been let go of more from the thoughts process in the mind, but the body hasn't fully let go of that energy in certain aspects. So do you want to explore a little bit with me here on this because of the fact that you've had a little bit of this showing up for yourself lately?
Yeah, so I feel like this is relevant, obviously, for anyone, no matter what. Like, we know that we manifest physical symptoms in the body as the last place that it shows up, and that it all is starting in the energetic and in the other realms. So, although it's always the case, my experience recently has been that as I was existing and operating in a state of being of higher frequencies because of the work that I've done, meaning that I was in preferred states of being, so gratitude and excitement and expansiveness, and more of what we would consider those higher frequencies. My body had actually caught up to existing in those higher frequencies. So then life was happening, and I started like I got caught in the old patterns, in the old energetics, but and I was aware that that was happening, but what happened was my body started going in extreme pain. So like joint pain, muscle pain, like pains that didn't make sense for any to my logical mind and the physical, right? And so what was happening was that I had re-engaged in these old patterns, old energetics, old timelines, and my body was going, no, we don't live here anymore. We don't prefer this. We actually prefer our body to be in a more high frequency state. And so my body consciousness was, and it was just letting me know, like, um, you're kind of having a moment of reverting back to a past version of self in your belief structures and systems, and it's not serving you. We don't want to do that. Um, so that's how it showed up for me personally, um, from someone who has moved out of old states of being, but then the old state of being popped back up, versus other people who may be continually existing in those states of pain and suffering and haven't brought themselves out of it yet to have a gauge to go back in. But the reality is, what we're talking about is what's going on no matter what.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, it's amazing at how many of us are so disconnected from our bodies. So the aches and pains when they first show up are so easy to just kind of pass off, or, oh, I'm just going to take a little Advil today and just kick that so I don't have to continue to feel it. And the ever since the shift from the solar eclipse, I have found that a lot of people are really starting to notice more of the pain or more of these weirder things that seem to be happening in their body when in likelihood they've probably been there the whole time. It's just the intensity of all of it has gone up a bit because of the frequencies on Earth are rising as well. So yes, all of our bodies are trying to keep up with that. So of course there's going to be some, strange symptoms that'll come through every now and then. Like when December ran through and January started, I remember the whole dizziness spell I had for like 3 days of vertigo, those types of things. But that's calmed down a lot. We have finally hit shift point, you guys. We finally hit after June, like they did mention that it would start to calm down. But I'm finding too, as the energy itself in the bodies is calming down and more is being integrated, more people are noticing a lot more going on, more aches and pains, or the joints or the muscles, or just tiredness in general of like just different parts of your body, or maybe it is fogginess of your mind all of a sudden. But your body is constantly trying to talk to you for the fact that it says, hey, there's something here we don't want to hold on to anymore, but you're not paying attention. So we have to start pushing this and expressing it in a physical way. So maybe you will actually take notice. But by the time many of us do, we're almost at like that too late point where like you're either, got something really going on that now needs some extra help to fix or move out of. But again, most people are going to try and do this with medication, which is just a band-aid, you know.
Yeah. And they keep bringing me back to you will even feel in your body where there are energetic cords with other people. That can feel like a weird pain. So I'll just give an example. I was having kind of a chest area pain, and come to find out it was related to some experience that I was having with my oldest child. So as he was moving through his life experience, this pain would show up, and it was like, what is this? This is out of nowhere. I don't know what's going on. And then he would level out and it would go away and level out. So, especially if you're someone with kids or relationships that are very intimate and closely tied, you know, that not that we're going to dive into the conversation of energetic cords and healthy, unhealthy, all that stuff. But just know it can also even be indicators of stuff like that, because again, that is an energy exchange. And so then you're connected with someone else and you're impacted by even their emotions and energy, right? So it's those questions too. Is it mine? Is it not mine? What is it? Where is it? You
Yeah,
know.
coming back to self-awareness that we have done an episode on already because it is important. I mean, with anybody that I know, both of us have ever worked with, if you are not self-aware to even understand or feel in your own body, it's very hard to determine what is actually yours and what's not yours. So, step one, self-awareness. But then do pay attention though. You know, if you are feeling something in your body, like you were getting the pain and just being like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, where did that come from? But aware enough to know, okay, I'm going to question this a little bit because it doesn't really make sense that it just showed up, you know? So by doing the questioning rather than just accepting that it's there, also helps your body to realize, hey, they're asking questions. Maybe they're going to get to a point where we can actually release this on more of the aspect of understanding and being able to let go of it rather than the body constantly trying to shove it out in a physical way.
Yeah.
So and I mean, that was kind of an experience that you had a little bit with Zahara too, that they talked to you through different pieces. And next thing you know, what was it later that day or the next day that you actually didn't have the pain in the body any longer?
Well, the most recently, the pain was gone instantly. With the chest pain stuff, it was fairly quickly. I don't know if it was instant, but
Yeah, I think it's less instant when it's somebody else's though
yeah.
too, right? Because like you said, you've got that cord and they kind of are, you know, it's a bit of a channel there. So even though you might be trying to lessen that for yourself, sometimes that cord might be kind of feeding that for a little bit yet before it actually levels out for, especially being a mom with your kids, right?
Yeah, well, and I mean they're two kind of they're similar, but they're different things. So with the cord situation, it was coming into the awareness that that's what was happening was, and I mean that's the case most of the time, right? Coming into the awareness of something usually helps dissolve it or dissipate it or whatever else, versus the other that we're discussing, it was coming into an awareness and then choosing different. So that was one of the what Zahara walked me through was like, okay, so here's what's going on. And because we're human, we want to do something about it, right? And we don't want to stay in pain. So what they did was they took me back to a memory of a high frequency state of being. So when I was in like truly authentic, genuine gratitude, that's very like palpable and I could feel it, right? Like, you know, when that is. And so they took me back and they said, you know, pull on these memories of when you were in this state. Because again, if you've experienced it once, you can experience it again. You can call it back, and your brain doesn't know the difference. So, you know, this is why we say you can borrow other people's, you know, experiences, but even better if you've had it yourself, to remember a time where you felt that in your body. You can recall that in your body, that will shift your body into that state of being, into that high frequency. And then that's where you want to, you know, hold and maintain as long, you know, as like, so it reintegrates as your normal state of being. Because I was in a place previously before life started lifing a whole lot I was existing in that high state of genuine, authentic gratitude. Um, and so again, we're all just on this journey. It's not good, bad, it's that self-awareness, right? Like, oh, something has shifted and I'm not being the way I was being previously, right? And a lot of even that had to do with like being in the now versus past or future problem creating or solving or exist or like worry or whatever thread of energy is happening at whatever frequency. It's choosing different. Like that's always our free will. We have that free will of choice, and that's our greatest power, no matter who you are here on planet.
Yeah, it is very true. Another fact is like we create our reality. So if it really isn't something you prefer, then it's coming from within you that those reactions are happening anyway. So yeah, why not come back to present moment, bring yourself back to a higher vibration and choose different. And so you're creating something different. And yet I find so many people will tell me, "Oh, but that is so much easier said than done." And I'll say to them, "Well, then obviously you believe already that you have a block. And so why are you already believing you have a block? And just by the fact that you believe there's a block there, whether you understand what that block, quote unquote, might be, even in relation to, it might even just be the fact that you believe you have a block. And even just staying easier said than done,
Mhm.
that is a belief. Because again, everything doesn't have to be hard. But for a lot of us understanding as human, life here has been hard throughout our past quote unquote history. That's a whole nother topic as well, because it's been rewritten so many times, but yet it's just coming from someone else's belief of what had happened rather than necessarily our own truths, right? So again, it's about questioning, coming back to the state of like, does this really have to be this hard? You know, because if it doesn't have to be this hard, why can't I choose something different? Well, you can. It's just going to take the getting uncomfortable with actually feeling, you guys. It's like the same thing. Nobody really wants to feel their pain. They just want it to be gone, right? And sometimes you still have to feel that pain. Like, um, they're kind of giving me this example of like the shoulder pain that I saw in somebody once. And they had this shoulder pain that was almost like right up underneath their shoulder blade. So it wasn't even just so much the muscles. It was like this pain that was actually sitting like underneath their shoulder blade. And they were saying, "Oh, I can't move my arms certain ways. It just hurts, da 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 da." And I finally said to them, "Okay, well, have you actually just really felt the pain instead of just saying it hurts to do this or that?" And they said, "Well, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense because I feel it all the time." I said, "No, you're not really feeling it. It's feeling to you to try and get your attention. So it's going to give you different types of pain to see, okay, which one is going to grab your attention more. Once it has your attention, it's asking for you to feel it wholly and then ask if there's something related or attached to it. And it does get to be that simple, but you do have to get to a point where you're okay with feeling that to that extent because it's not always fun. I understand that. Feeling pain is not fun for anybody. But if you feel it and you know what's on the other side of that door and it's going to be released or dissolved and it's going to be gone, who wouldn't want to do that?
Well, and it's not even always pain. That's the thing. If you can be in awareness of like, oh, something's different here. And they're just reminding me of this time where I had under like one shoulder blade, I would have like it literally felt like something would plug in and send like, and it was an archangel was putting his hand on my back and sending energy. But to me, it felt like literally just a plug. And I can't even describe it, right? Like that's the thing. I was like trying to like sparklies of energy, but almost like one of those machines, I can't remember, like the electrical stimulus,
Oh, yeah, the ones that send out like that pulse. Yeah.
but it's not a pulse. It was like a constant of that. And so, the point is like when there's a shift, like you don't always have to get to the point of pain. If you're in a place of awareness and in touch and in your body, you can recognize the signals ahead of time before going into a state of suffering and pain. It's when we aren't paying attention
Yeah,
that it's going to get
exactly.
stronger and stronger and stronger.
And that's the part of me saying too, like, it does get to be that easy. You don't have to get to those extremes any longer, because when you have the awareness, you're not going to get to those extremes, right? And nobody wants to be at the extremes anyway, but it's amazing at how many people don't want to feel either, because we're so trained, if we can box it up, put it in the back corner, maybe it'll fucking disappear one day. Really. And we all know that's not true, because eventually it comes back out, whether we are conscious of how it comes out or not and what it's related to. But again, bring up your self-awareness. I promise you life will get easier, because now you're not fighting with yourself on a constant basis either, or in the in between. So because so many are disconnected to the body, to get to the body, to finally get attention, brings those extremes, right? Whether it's extreme emotion, extreme pain, whatever's going on, or lays you out with a cold because it says you're working too hard, like all the things that it could come up for you. Most people are so up in their head that even if they do feel something, they take it to the extreme there as well, right? Because if it's an extreme pain, now the automatic thought is, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. I better go to the doctor. How long is it going to take me to get into the doctor? How long is it going to take to actually get this figured out? And then it causes all that extra emotion of anxiety and now worry on top of what your body was just simply trying to say, excuse me, we just have something we would like to have your awareness on, and bringing that to a lessened extreme. So yeah, as you raise the self-awareness, it's easier to let go of the things that aren't serving. And not only that, if something there was truly something wrong in the body, you would know it even quicker, right? Because your awareness would already be there to say, okay, there's really something I don't feel quite right. I just keep getting this inkling, right? That it's like, maybe I should go get this or that checked out. So there's
Right.
a lessening of all this worry of like, what if there really is something wrong with me?
Well, I was even like, is pain considered an emotion?
I would say it's an emotion of the body. Yeah. Are you looking up that definition of pain?
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
feel,
that's an interesting
well, because if we look at emotions, we know emotion is simply energy in motion, right? And it's almost like pain is the stagnancy of that energy. When
that's
the energy
exactly how I
stops
see it.
moving, right? That surfaces as pain.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's the same thing, like they're showing me too, how a lot of people might be more familiar with like how Reiki or energetic healing works. I call it the cleaner for a reason, because I feel like that's exactly all it's doing, is it's pulling out all the cobwebs and all the energy that got stuck somewhere from somebody not allowing it to move and flow, and pushes it so it's now flowing, right? It's just energetic healing is pushing that, pulling that through your energetic body, so in which your physical body will automatically start to go back into rebalance, because it no longer has they're showing me is like like the what are they called? Little things that you would put in a paper to stick on a wall.
Pushpin.
Push pin, yeah. That's almost like what it feels like when energy gets stuck in your body. So it's like the push pin going into certain places of the body and being like held. And then as the energetic, be it Reiki or whatever type of energetic healing, comes through and pulls all the push pins out. But only for so long, because no matter what has been moving through you is still going to be there. And that's why I tell people often, like, it's great to go and get energy work done. And if you do it on a regular basis, wonderful. But you're going to feel like you're always going to need that to some extent, because you are not actually allowing yourself to dissolve and allow that energy to fully move out of your body by understanding what is actually there.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the push pin one. That's a really good analogy. And simplistic. I like the fact that it's simplistic. It makes a lot of sense. So when it comes to these kinds of things, if you guys are not as familiar with self-awareness, go back and listen to our episode on self-awareness. Go back and listen to some of the other episodes too that have, some of the other understanding. We've talked a lot about how to let go, or aka surrender to certain things, but surrender has a lot of different connotation and meaning, hence why we did its totally own episode, because it needed it. But there's a lot of different aspects, but not to consume so much that now you get yourself confused, because I feel like that is going to be our next episode, by the way. We're going to talk about how much people want to consume all of this knowledge or all the information that's being put out there, especially now that we have the internet. And look at how many people have come out of the woodwork doing psychic stuff, doing readings, talking about galactic stuff, not just ourselves, but I'm finding even on my own feeds, I'm sorry, like I just feel like I'm seeing more and more and more of all this kind of information coming out. So there's lots of different resources, but you must go with what resonates, as we always put on every single episode I've ever written the description on. We always have in there, take what resonates for you and leave the rest. And that's how you have to move through this, because there's massive amounts of information and resources that you could choose from.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to have a one-on-one conversation about what self-awareness is, or for yourself, or surrender, or any of the other topics we've covered, we offer virtual sessions, we offer virtual discovery calls for our mentorship packages. So there's multiple ways even to get in touch with us to have a one-on-one conversation, whether that's a 15-minute brief conversation or an hour session. We can definitely connect and make it very specific for you and what you're going through, as opposed to you just trying to put all the pieces together, which is of course fine too. But when you're ready, we are here and available, as are many, many other people on this planet. So
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you want to do channeled sessions, as we've done this with our community, or that's another outlook and basis for some. If you want to start a little smaller, getting your toes more wet and having some conversations, we have a beautiful community that we are building, and we meet with them right now weekly. And so we do lots there as well, have lots of wonderful conversations, lots of people asking questions, getting some of that more basis information for self. And then some jump in after a little while and start deciding they want to do one-on-one sessions, whether that's directly with us, maybe it's a channeled sessions with the Syrians or the Zahara Collective, whatever it is looking like for your own help. But I do often will tell people, go with someone you trust, because it is helpful, you guys, instead of trying to figure it out all on your own and getting confused, because we do need a little bit of guidance often from other people that have either done the work or been there, because it gets to be overwhelming with how much being human and how much we're told and taught. And yet, as we all know, we're seeing all this information coming out now that was a lie, that was a lie, somebody lied about that, the government lied about that, or whatever it's been, right? So a lot of people are unsure of how to go about that. So always go with your gut instinct or your trust, and just being like, hey, I feel like that's my person, or that's what I would like to go and do, and just go for it. And don't question it too much for yourself. And again, always take what resonates, even out of your sessions. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So we hope to see you either maybe in our community, or booking a session at some point in the near future or in the distant future, who knows, whenever you're finding this episode, because hopefully we'll be up for a long time. So we will see you in the next episode then.